Hare Krishna, my friends. Welcome to Bhaktiville and our weekly reading of Srila Prabhupada's book, The Teachings of Queen Kunti. With us here tonight in Bhaktiville are Bhaktiville and Kandita Prabhu. Six, the Master of the Senses, and that'll be on page 27 of the book or page 61 of the PDF. Before I get started, let me offer some prayers and invoke the benedictions of our predecessors and people around us. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminati Namani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna. Vishcha, Ripasindubhya Vacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, here and everywhere in every universe, past, present, and future. They are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. So chapter 6, and I have that up there on the slide, so you can look at the slide while we go through. Interesting to have that information in my mind before I read the verse, so let's do that. Yata, as it were, Rishikesha, the master of the senses, Kalena, by the envious, Devaki, the mother of Sri Krishna, Kamsena, by King Kamsa, Rudha, imprisoned, Aticharam, for a long time, Shucha Arpita, distressed, Vimochita, released, Ahamcha, also myself, Saha, Tvaya Eva, by your lordship, Natena, as the protector, Muhu, constantly, Vipat Ganat, from a series of dangers. And here's the Sanskrit. Yata Rishikesha Kalina Devaki, Amsena Rudati Charan Shucharpita, Vimochitaham Chasahat Majavipo, Tvayaiva Natena Muhur Vipad Ganat. O Rishikesha, master of the senses and lord of lords, you have released your envious King Kamsa and me and my children from a series of constant dangers. At Srimad Bhagavatam 1:8-23. So this book is a transcription of lectures that Srila Prabhupada gave on that section of the Srimad Bhagavatam where Queen Kunti is speaking to him. So let's go along to the text here. Devaki, the mother of Krishna and sister of King Kamsa, was put into prison along with her husband Vasudeva because they The king killed all the sons of Devaki who were born before Krishna, but Krishna escaped the danger of child slaughter because he was transferred to the house of King Nanda Maharaj, Lord Krishna's foster father. Kunti Devi, along with her children, was also saved from a series of dangers. But Kunti Devi was shown far more favor because Lord Krishna did not save the other children of Devaki, whereas he saved the children of Kunti Devi. This was done she was a widow, and there was none to help her except Krishna. The conclusion is that Krishna bestows more favor upon a devotee who is in greater dangers. Sometimes he puts his pure devotees in such dangers because in that condition of helplessness, the devotee becomes more attached to the Lord. The more the attachment is there for the Lord, the more success is there for the devotee. Devaki, the devotee who became the mother of Krishna, was not an ordinary woman. After all, who can become the son only of the most advanced devotee? In their previous lives, Devaki and her husband underwent severe austerities, and when Krishna therefore appeared before them, wanting to give them a benediction, they told him that they wanted a son like God. But where can there be another person equal to God? That is not possible. God is asamordva, that is, no one can be equal to or greater than him. There cannot be any competition. One cannot say, "One who says this is a dog, not God." For God is great, and he has no competitor. No one is equal to him. Everyone is lower. Ekale Ishvar Krishna Arasabha Bhritya. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The only master is Krishna, God, and everyone else is his servant, including even great demigods like Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, not to speak of others. Shiva Varinchinutam from Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Shastra, Krishna, even by Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, the topmost demigods. Above the human beings there are demigods. As we human beings are above the lower animals, above us there are demigods, the most important of whom are Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Lord Brahma is the creator of this universe. Lord Shiva is its destroyer, and Lord Vishnu, who is Krishna himself, is its maintainer. For the maintenance of this material world, there are three gunas, or modes of action, and tamoguna, the mode of ignorance. Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva have each taken charge of one of these modes. Lord Vishnu of Sattva Guna, Lord Brahma of Rajaguna, and Lord Shiva of Tamoguna. Yet these three controllers are not under the influence of the gunas. Just as the superintendent of a jail is not a prisoner, but the controlling officer, so Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Brahma control these three gunas and are not others. Supreme controller is Krishna, who is known as Rishikesh. The word Rishika means senses. We are enjoying our senses, but ultimately the controller of the senses is Krishna. Consider my hand, for example. I claim, "This is my hand. I can fight you with a good fist." I am very much proud. I am not the controller. The controller is Krishna, because if he withdraws my hand's power to act, the hand will be paralyzed. Although I cannot do anything. Therefore, I should understand that although I possess this hand by the grace of Krishna, I am not its controller. This is Krishna consciousness. A sane man will think, if this hand is ultimately controlled by Krishna, then it is meant for Krishna. This is a common sense understanding. I claim, this is my hand, this is my leg, this is my ear. Even a child will speak this way. If we ask a child, claim, actually, it is not our hand. It is given to us. Because I wanted to use my hand in so many ways, Krishna has given it to me. All right, take this hand and use it. So it is a gift from Krishna, and therefore a sane man always consciously thinks, whatever I have in my possession, beginning with this body and my senses, is actually not mine. I have been given all these possessions to use, and if everything ultimately belongs to Krishna, And this is Krishna consciousness. Everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutaha, which means the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. That's from Bhagavad Gita. And therefore everyone's senses are also Krishna's. When we use the senses for Krishna's service, we attain the perfection of life. Therefore, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchati. Rishikena, we serve Rishikesha, the real master of the senses. That service is called bhakti. This is a very simple definition of bhakti. Rishikesha Sevanam, not Rishika Sevanam, service to the Supreme Master of the senses, not to the senses themselves. When we use our senses for sense gratification, we are in Maya, illusion. But when we use our senses for the gratification of the Master of the senses, that service is called bhakti. Senses for sense gratification. That is Maya, or illusion, and that is the cause of one's bondage. But when one comes to Krishna consciousness, when one becomes purified and understands that these senses are actually meant to satisfy Krishna, then he is a liberated person. Mukta Purusha. This next verse is from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Iha yasya hiridasye karmana manasa gira nikilas vapi avasta. A person who acts in the service of Krishna with his body, mind, intelligence, and words is a liberated person, even in this material world. And one should come to understand my senses are meant to serve the master of the senses, Rishikesha. The master of the senses is sitting within everyone's heart. In Bhagavad Gita 15:15, the Lord says, Sarvasya chaham kriti samivishta. I am seated in everyone's heart. Matas return. Knowledge and forgetfulness. Krishna is so merciful that if we want to use our senses in a certain way, he will give us the chance to do so. The senses are not ours, they are Krishna's. But Krishna gives us the opportunity to use them according to our desires. For example, each of us has a tongue, and suppose we want to eat stool. We may say, Krishna, I want to taste stool. And Krishna will say, yes, take this body of a hog and eat stool. An appropriate body and remind us, my dear living entity, you wanted to eat stool. Now you have the proper body in which to do so. Similarly, if one wants to become a demigod, Krishna will give one a chance to do that also. There are 8,400,000 forms of life. And if one wants to engage one's senses in a particular type of body, Krishna will give one the chance. Come on, here's the body you want, take it. But eventually, one will become exasperated by using one's senses. Ultimately, one will become senseless. Therefore, Krishna says, Sarva dharmanam parityaja mam eka sharanam bhaja. Which means, that's from Bhagavad Gita 18:66. That's the verse where he says, abandon all, surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So he says, do not act like this. Your senses are meant for serving me. You are misusing your senses and are therefore being entrapped in different types of bodies. Therefore, to get relief from this tedious business of accepting one body and then giving it up to accept another, and again another in continued material existence, just give up this process of sense gratification and surrender unto me. That at the present moment, our senses are contaminated. I am thinking, I'm an American, so my senses should be used for the service of my country, my society, my nation. Or I'm thinking, I am Indian, and my senses are Indian senses, and therefore they should be used for India. In ignorance, one does not know that the senses belong to Krishna. Instead, one thinks that one has American senses, Indian senses, or African senses. This is called Maya, illusion. In the American, Indian, and African, and when our senses are no longer contaminated by these designations, Sarvopati Vinirmuktam, Bhakti begins. And so that Sanskrit phrase means free from all kinds of material designations or desires, from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. To think I am an American, why shall I take to Krishna consciousness and worship a Hindu god? That's foolishness. If one thinks I am Mohammedan, I am Christian, or I am Hindu, one is in illusion. One must purify the senses so that one can understand. I am spirit soul, and the supreme spirit soul is Krishna. I am part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore it is my duty to serve Krishna. When one thinks in this way, one immediately becomes free. At that time, one is no longer American, Indian, African, this or that, or Krishna conscious. That is what is wanted. Therefore, Kunti Devi says, my dear Krishna, Rishikesha, you are the master of the senses. Oh, I'm sorry, Kandita said she had to go. She's not. All right. I'm sorry. We'll talk later. For sense gratification, we have fallen into this material condition and are suffering in different varieties of life. Because this is the material world, even Krishna's mother was put into suffering. Devaki was so advanced that she became the mother of Krishna, but still she was put into difficulties by her own brother Kamsa. That is the nature of this material world. The living entities in this world are so jealous that if one's personal interest is hampered, one will The word kala in this verse means jealous. This material world is a world of jealousy and envy. I am envious of you, and you are envious of me. The Krishna consciousness movement, however, is meant for one who is no longer jealous or envious. By becoming free from jealousy and envy, one becomes a perfect person. Dharma projita kaitavo Traparamo nirmat saran satam. That's Bhagavatam 112. Those who are jealous and envious are within the spiritual world. Therefore, we can test ourselves. If we are jealous or envious of our friends or other associates, we are in the material world. And if we are not jealous, we are in the spiritual world. There need be no doubt of whether we are spiritually advanced or not. We can test ourselves. Bhakti pareshana pareshanubhavo viraktir anyatra cha. And that's from Srimad Bhagavatam. The full verse is this: devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. These three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger come simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in eating. So when we eat, We can understand for ourselves whether our hunger is satisfied. We don't have to take a certificate from others. Similarly, we can test for ourselves whether we are in the material world or the spiritual world. If we are jealous or envious, we are in the material world. And if we are not, we are in the spiritual world. If one is not jealous, one can serve Krishna very well, because jealousy and envy begin with being jealous. Philosophers think, why should Krishna be God? I am also God. This is the beginning of material life, to be envious of Krishna. Why should Krishna be the enjoyer, they think? I shall also be the enjoyer. Why should Krishna enjoy the gopis? I shall become Krishna, make a society of gopis and enjoy. This is Maya. No one but Krishna can be the enjoyer. Krishna therefore says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Yajna, I am the only enjoyer. If we life, but if we want to imitate Krishna thinking, I shall become God and enjoy like him, then we are in Maya. Our natural position is to provide enjoyment for Krishna. In the spiritual world, for example, Krishna enjoys, and the gopis, the transcendental cowherd girls, supply the ingredients for Krishna's enjoyment. This is bhakti. Bhakti is a relationship between master and servant. The servant's duty is to serve the master. The master supplies whatever Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidati Kama from the Katha Upanishad 2:213, and translated that is, the Supreme Lord is eternal and the living beings are eternal. The Supreme Lord is cognizant and the living beings are cognizant. The difference is that the Supreme Lord is supplying all the necessities of life for the many other living entities. The Vedic literature informs us that Krishna can supply all the necessities for one's life. There is no scarcity. To try to serve Krishna, and then everything will be complete. If Krishna desires, there may be ample supplies. In America, for example, there is an ample supply of everything needed, although in other countries this is not so. For instance, when I went to Switzerland, I saw that everything there is imported. The only thing supplied If one becomes a devotee, one will be amply supplied with food. And if one does not become a devotee, one will be covered with snow. Everything is under Krishna's control, so actually there is no scarcity. The only scarcity is a scarcity of Krishna consciousness. Of course, the world is full of dangers, but Kunti Devi says, because Devaki is your devotee, you saved her from distresses imposed upon by her envious brother. As soon as Devaki's brother heard killed Devaki, but Devaki's husband pacified him. It is the duty of a husband to protect his wife, and therefore Devaki's husband said, My dear brother-in-law, why are you envious of your sister? After all, your sister will not kill you. It is her son who will kill you. That is the problem. So I shall deliver all the sons to you. Then you may do whatever you like with them. Why should you kill this innocent newly married girl? She is your younger sister, and you should protect her. This way, he placated Kamsa, who believed Vasudev's word that he would bring all the sons, so that if Kamsa wanted, he could kill them. Vasudev thought, let me save the present situation. After all, if Kamsa later gets a nephew, he may forget this envy. But Kamsa never forgot. Instead, he kept Devaki and Vasudeva in prison for a long time, Atichiram, and killed all their sons. Finally, Krishna appeared and saved Vasudeva and Devaki. Kunti. After Kunti became a widow, the envious Dhritarashtra was always planning ways to kill her sons, the 5 Pandavas. Because by chance I was born blind, he thought, I could not inherit the throne of the kingdom, and instead it went to my younger brother. Now he is dead, so at least my sons should get the throne. This is the materialistic propensity. One thinks, I shall be happy, my son shall be happy, my community will be happy, my nation will be happy. This is extended self. Rather, everyone is thinking in terms of his own happiness. How shall I be happy? How will my children, my community, my society, my nation be happy? Everywhere we shall find this. Everyone is struggling for existence, not thinking of how Krishna will be happy. Krishna consciousness is very sublime. We should try to understand it from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and try to engage our senses for the service of the master of the senses. Rishikena, Rishikesha Sevanam. By serving the Lord, one's senses are gradually purified. Then we shall actually be happy. Jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. That was quite wonderful. All right. Good night.